Welcome to Bar Chat. That's where it's at.
I'm Lexi.
I'm Bianca.
And I'm Becca.
And we're chatting all things dance.
All right, before we begin this episode, we wanted to give a trigger warning because this episode will contain discussions about body image, disordered eating, and any other discussions just pertaining the body itself, and we want to make sure that you're listening at your own discretion. So now that we put that out there, the episode theme for this week's episode is body image and dealing with that as a dancer, which can always be tough, and I assume that we are not alone with the struggles that we've gone through with our individual bodies. And if you're out there listening, I hope that something that we say resonates with you, or maybe you know someone with a similar experience, and hopefully we can help you get through that, or just listening might help you get through that as well. But we're going to go through, share some of our stories, and I hope that you guys will take something out of this episode.
Yeah, so when it comes to dance, I feel like I talk about this a lot. Your product is your body. So in a way, you're kind of, it's all your body, and it's like the aesthetic of your movement and stuff like that. So with that, there comes a lot of you being hard on yourself, or a teacher being hard on you, or just the overall industry and the overall just idea of it being really hard on your body. And you spend all day staring at yourself in front of a mirror, and that isn't the greatest thing ever in the world.
For your brain.
Yeah, for your brain and for your mind. So obviously, we will get a little more into our experience with it and kind of how we deal with it, because a lot of it, like, you can grow and you can heal and stuff like that, but a lot of it is just upkeep. And for me, at least, I really like to check in on myself regularly and just make sure I'm making clear choices in the way I'm taking care of myself, and I'm being really healthy and having healthy habits, so that everything is, I'm just being nice to my body, because your body is your vessel.
Yeah, and you only have one body.
So
Yeah,
take care
You don't
of
get
it.
a redo.
Yeah, and I think that's the number one thing I've learned over the years, is what I put into my body is so important when it comes to the nutrition and the protein and all of that. It's so important. So you need to actually be fueling your body. And I feel like that is such an important lesson to learn, because your body you're using so many calories when you dance. Like, you're breaking down so many, I don't know that
You're burning a lot of calories.
yeah, you're burning a lot of calories when you dance. So one, you need to make sure you're eating enough
And replenishing those.
and replenishing them.
Right.
Yeah.
I would love maybe to like bring in a nutritionist in one episode or something.
That would be cool.
That could be
to
fun.
talk about it, because obviously I don't have the expertise, but we
Right.
can come to you from our personal standpoint.
Mhm.
And I mean, my personal standpoint is, if you're hungry, eat. So
Yeah.
Right. Like Becca said, you are burning so many calories at dance. It is so important that you are fueling your body, not only before, but also after. And I know it's hard as a dancer with the very busy schedule that we have to not be able to eat a full meal or not be able to meal prep, because it takes a lot of time and preparation. But as long as you just are carrying nuts or just something in your bag,
Snacks.
granola bars, little snacks, make sure that you have like a protein drink or something, like you need to make sure that you are carrying food, because you need to eat. You have to. It is so important, because you are physically exhausting yourself and you need to replenish that, because if not, you are going to get very sick. You're going to get very tired. You're going to get very weak, and it's so unhealthy for your body.
yeah. And that's another thing is that's really important to think about, because sometimes you are dancing for a lot of hours and having long dance days. So even if you do eat before the dance day, if you're dancing for longer than X amount of hours, you're gonna be hungry. Snacking is so important, because the worst is, by the end of the day, if you haven't replenished your body at all, you're just gonna be so hungry when you get home, and it's not good for your
Right.
body, and you want to be on your A game.
So I want to kind of talk about what we eat in between dance classes for snacks.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big snacker. I love eating
Yes.
meals, but I also love snacking.
Same.
Like a little too much probably, but some of the things that I carry in my dance bag are granola bars. So whether that's like a protein bar or just like a oatmeal, like nut bar, you know, those kinds. I'll always have like one or two of those. I love seaweed, like the seaweed snacks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. I eat those all the time and they're so good. I'm not a big like fan of nuts. I just don't really like them.
Just
so
eating plain nuts.
no, but
I feel like,
but some
are, like,
people do like them and they're good for
like
you.
them.
They're a good source of protein
Yeah, I
and
wish
stuff.
I liked them more.
I'm just not a big fan of them. Sometimes I'll have like a juice or a smoothie and always have water too. Like water is so important.
Yeah.
You need to hydrate just as much as you need to eat. Like they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Our body's like what, 60% water or something?
I think it's like
80
90
or
or
90.
something.
Okay, so point being-
97 or something.
Yeah, so
Maybe it's
point being
110.
I think it's actually 125.
Maybe.
So what's your favorite snack to eat, Lexi?
Well, okay, so the reason why, at least like when we were talking about in the beginning, I think it's so important in the fact that we are stressing, making sure that you eat during class is because I've been there where I haven't. And like even recently, like there's been days where I've gone like the whole day without eating because I know it's really bad. And it's not because I'm doing it on purpose. It's because one, I'm very nervous about upsetting my stomach because it's like you don't want to eat a big meal because you're going to hurt
That's
your
the
stomach.
worst. You just feel like a rock.
Especially before Zumba, I'm always very careful because like I am exerting a lot of energy. So things that I have found that worked for me is nuts. Actually, I started eating you know the everything but the bagel seasoning.
Yeah, you love
almonds
those.
and cashews. I just started eating those, and those are great because like it fills me up. It's like a nice sufficient snack,
Yeah.
and I keep it in my backpack. I also like the Trader Joe's sea salt almonds or like the chocolate
I'm
covered
sure
sea
they're
salt almonds.
good. I'm sure
Yeah,
they're
Chocolate
they're
good.
is
really good.
actually really good to have as a little, like a
Like a
tiny
little
little
snack, yeah.
bite because there's so much energy and stuff. There's,
And bananas.
Yeah,
I
I
have
like
bananas
like
a
I
lot
said
too.
in the last episode, I wish I would have eaten a banana before I got a Charlie horse.
Yeah, bananas,
Yeah.
apples, like all the fruit, even
Yeah.
dried fruit.
Yes.
Also protein shakes.
I
like,
love,
I know you said that.
as you guys know, I'm like allergic to a lot of things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so one thing I'm not allergic to is, well, because I'm allergic to a lot of granola bars, but I love the little rice cakes that are flavored. Like
Mhm.
they have
Like caramel ones.
Yeah.
and,
Mhm.
The ones that I buy are little rollers. So they're just, and they're already prepackaged, which I love. They're
think
so
I've
easy.
seen
I throw
those.
them in my bag. You can get them at like actually every grocery store.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say. But they're so yummy. Like the ones I have are like cinnamon or, dulce de leche or
But they even
whatever.
have
Yeah.
like cheddar ones or like spicy ones too. They have savory ones.
Yeah, they have such good ones.
You know
and
the
I love
granola
pretzels.
bars. You know the granola bars that I hate. I forget the
ones?
brand, but it's the one that when you open it,
The kind
entire
bar?
thing
Oh,
goes
Nature
spilling
Valley.
out. Yeah,
Nature
like you
Valley.
open it and then it just like spills everywhere, and I'm like, well, there goes my snack. Like
I don't think
hate
they're
those.
that good anyways though.
They're
just
whatever. Like
Yeah.
there's other protein or granola bars. that I
Zone
like
bars
better.
are really good.
I'm not a big fan of like protein bars. I don't think that those taste real. So
They
I
have
don't. Yeah, I don't like
artificial
eating
protein
those.
in them.
Those are
But
the
I like
only things
granola
I
bars.
can eat.
You can.
I love one bars are so good.
Yeah, I've heard people liked those.
They're
Do you guys want to talk about like meals, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, like what the three of us might
Yes.
eat for something
Yes.
like that? Because dancers are very different in their
Yeah.
eating
Mhm.
habits, and we all have different like likes and dislikes. So it's interesting.
And that's another thing I want to say is I feel like topics of what I ate today and things like that can be like a really sensitive subject. So of course everyone dances different amount of hours. Everyone like burns a different amount of calories. So just because this is what we eat, some days I eat more because I need more. Some days I
Right.
eat less because I'm exerting less energy.
Mhm.
So take our go-to meals with a grain of salt.
Yeah, this
Because-
is just our personal routine. It's not
Yeah.
something that you need to jot down and do for yourself.
Feel free to use it if you like it.
Yeah.
Feel free to not use it if you don't. It's
Yeah.
totally up to you.
Yeah, I make a lot of what I eat in a day videos on my TikTok. And so something for me with breakfast that I'll always go to, I love having a bread in the morning. Like I love
Mhm.
having an English muffin or toast or a bagel. And if I do a bagel, I'll do like avocado on top with
Mhm.
like the everything bagel seasoning. Then I'll probably have like some apple on the side or banana or both, and then maybe like a yogurt drink, like the probiotic ones, because they're just really good for you and they're healthy. And I feel like,
Yeah,
like
you know what my rule is with, I feel like every meal, I it's like the rule of threes.
yeah.
Because it has to have like 3 aspects of every meal, whether it be like usually it's like a carb, a protein, and a vegetable or something like that. Or like in the morning I'll do like I'll do eggs
Or like a hard boiled egg with that or
yeah,
something. Just like-
eggs, always eggs with a bagel and a protein or avocado or something
oatmeal.
like that.
Oatmeal's really good too with like berries and milk. It's good for me. It's good for me. You look disgusted.
Well, I'm also allergic to oats, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, well.
Darn.
There you have it.
My life is so hard.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What about Lexi?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm not perfect. And some days, like, I'll wake up too late because, like, I'm still in college. I'm still going to classes, and I don't have time to make breakfast every day. So on the days that I do, like, eggs are usually my go-to. But when I don't, I'll either put a waffle in, like, the toaster, take that and go, and then I come back and have, like, pasta for lunch. Like, my diet is such a college kid diet right now.
Yeah, but
And
like
it's very,
that's so
like-
relatable. I'm sure so many other
Yeah.
people
Yeah,
can
but that
relate.
happens to all of us. Like we don't always have
Exactly.
like like we're not
Yeah.
Emily Mariko.
Like, I was good when, like, COVID hit because I was home and I can cook and I can do all these things. And I was making, like, I was, like, a little chef. Like, I didn't know I could do all the things I could. Like, I made salmon. I made all these, like, fun dishes. And now I'm like, I'm going to have some chicken nuggets in the air fryer. Like, genuinely, like, I don't have time to make stuff. And then I'm not even home enough. So it's like, usually when I'm out, my go-to is, like, get a salad or get some, like, chicken and rice and, like, a greens. Like, those are my go-to when I'm out and can buy stuff. But when I'm home, it's like, what can you make in the amount of time that you have?
yeah.
So, and that's where the snacks come in. When I don't have time to make something and, like, it won't fill me over, I need to make sure that I have those snacks, because if not, then I'm not going to function the rest of the day.
Right. And I also know that a lot of people aren't even really breakfast people. Like my boyfriend doesn't really like to have a lot of food in the morning because he's not hungry. And I know that some people are also like that. I like to eat in the morning.
Me too.
But I would just encourage you, like as a dancer, even if you're not a breakfast person, just have like a protein shake or something that'll give you some sort of nutrients before you go into your dance class, whether that's literally a banana and water, like something. You need to have something in your system before you start
And it's
exerting
not
energy.
coffee.
Yeah.
Not coffee.
You need to start having something in your system to get you going before you start doing physical activity.
Right.
And especially because like you could get headaches, you don't want to pass out, you don't want to have any issues
Yeah,
like
I'm
that.
very prone to headaches, so that's why I always need to
Me
make
too.
sure that
Mhm,
there
me too.
is, if I don't eat and like
Me too.
I pass the X amount of hours, like where it's like, if I don't eat, I'm not just like hangry. Like I will start to like,
It affects your body.
yeah, and it really shows that like food is fuel.
It is.
Well, we always say, like, when we're filming these episodes, we need to make sure that we take a break in between the episodes and eat. Because if not, then we're dead and we're like, we're just
start
not
getting
fully
hangry, though.
there. And
Yeah.
we
Like,
get
after
hangry during the
this.
episodes. Like, after this episode, we will go eat lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because we need to, like, we can't get through the next episode without getting something in our bodies to like re-energize us. And the same applies to dance. You are not going to be able to like successfully get through the rest of the dance class without just fueling your body even a little bit. Like, fuel it halfway through. Make sure you eat something when you get home. Don't just go take a shower and go to bed. Like, you have to eat just a little something. Or you don't have to. Well, I'm not a nutritionist. Do whatever you want. But you should. It's good for you.
Yeah. Another thing we should talk about when it comes to body image is, I feel like a big thing that is affected me when I first started was uniform, because like being a dancer, having to be forced to wear these clothes, especially growing up at a studio, a lot of studios have to have a dress code and they say you have to wear this and you have to wear that, and it's usually not revealing,
Black
but-
leotard,
Well,
pink tights.
it shows
or
your
crop
figure.
top and shorts.
Everything shows your
yeah.
figure, because usually with dance, like dance wear, it is supposed to be tight just because it shows your body, which makes it easier for the teachers to correct you and see your form and see your technique, which is understandable. But sometimes the outfits that you are told to wear don't make you feel the best.
Yeah. Another thing too is that growing up, everyone matures differently, and that's something that I very much experienced. I started maturing and, getting boobs like at a younger age because I don't know, you know, every young person gets their period at a different point in their lives, obviously.
People develop at different times.
Yeah, people develop different times. So I just remember I was so ashamed, and I still am, and I talk about it all the time on my TikTok. And obviously I'm still working on it, but I have a lot more love for my body now.
Yeah.
But I was so ashamed of I was so yay, I love myself. Like,
Yes,
yay.
period.
Go, Becca.
But I was so ashamed of like having a bigger chest or having more of a womanly figure with actual curves because of the fact that like I would look at other people who may be my age, who may be older, who may be younger than me, and they're built differently. So I just want to talk about that because I'm sure there are people out there who deal with that. And I just want to let you know that. And what I always like got told as someone like, cause I had more boobs or more of a womanly figure, my dance teacher would always be like, oh, she'll be happy when she's older. Like she'll like it when she's older cause you'll mature into it.
Right.
And like definitely now, like you gotta embrace your curves. Like you gotta embrace it all. And I definitely do a lot more now. So that's definitely something, especially with the tight clothes and with the tight uniform, that I was standing there comparing myself to these other girls, and it was really hard for me.
Can I just say, like, on that topic about not feeling comfortable in certain dance clothes, this is to like studios and studio owners that are setting these rules. I think there's a way that you can establish a dress code, but also make sure that each dancer is able to dress for their body.
Yes.
Like, rather than saying, this is the one leotard that you all need to go buy with this neckline and these straps, that's not going to work for everyone's body because everybody's different. Every body is different. So it's like, there's no cookie cutter mold for a dancer. There are so many types of bodies and dancers, and there's no reason why somebody shouldn't be able to just wear a higher neckline or something with more support or like a little skirt. Like at my studio, we weren't even allowed to wear layers a lot of the time for warm up. It was like, take it off and you're just wearing your leotard and tights. And personally for me, I run cold. So I was always freezing. And like, that's not good for dancing either because then your muscles are not getting warm in the way that they need to. Dress code is one thing, but making sure that the dancers that are training to get better are comfortable.
Yeah,
That's
because
so important.
Yeah.
I feel like growing up, like there'd be days where I wasn't the happiest with my body and I wanted to wear the extra layer. And then you have the dance teacher saying, take your cover-ups off.
Yeah.
Take your shirt off. Like, go, go, go. And like, you're not allowed to keep that on, and like really enforcing it. And although I do understand why they do it, but I do believe that it is a little bit of an old-fashioned approach to teaching.
Yeah.
And there needs to be some lines that
Like
you
lenience.
don't cross.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some lenience. There's a give and take. Like if somebody's wearing a huge oversized hoodie in ballet, maybe not, but there are long sleeve form-fitting things that will still keep you warm.
100%.
That
Tiny sweater.
You should absolutely be allowed to wear that. Like, I don't understand why that's not more widely accepted.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I
we need to start
100%
moving in that
agree.
direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me growing up, I had always struggled with body image issues. I honestly never liked what I saw in the mirror. And we didn't start, even though I started being on the team at like a young age, like 3rd grade, 4th grade, we didn't implement the like ballet leotards until my freshman year of high school. But it wasn't that made me have the body image issues. It was way before that because I constantly would look in the mirror and the rest of my like troop class or whatever, they were all like this big and I'm holding up like a little pinky because they were all super skinny and I didn't feel like I compared to them. Like I felt like I was so much bigger than them, but I was the shortest in the class. So always being the one lifted, I hated it because I'm like 9-10 years old thinking like they can't get me up. Like that was like the worst feeling because I was like, this isn't fun for me. Like they're struggling to pick me up and like they probably were fine. And even if they were struggling, it probably wasn't me. It was probably because we're 9.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not lifting at that age, you know, like
literally.
but it was always something that went like, I don't know, that went through my head. And I have a picture of me in my 5th grade ballet costume. And I remember like, you can see me like sucking in my stomach and you can see that I can't breathe in that picture.
Aww.
And I remember like, I don't remember a lot of like things going through my head at that age. But I remember saying to myself, like, suck in as much as you can so you look good in that picture. And I have that picture. Whenever I look at it, I'm just like, she must be so sad inside.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I hate looking at that picture. It's
Like
my
it takes
favorite.
you back.
It takes me back, yeah. But I'll never forget the first time that we had a 2-piece costume. And it was this super fun hip hop dance that I absolutely loved. And I looked fine in the costume. And I remember finding out, because we always had these like costume books. And then when you see the costume book, like you get to see your costume and stuff. And I saw that it was a 2-piece. And I went home and I bawled my eyes out by myself in my room for probably like 30 minutes. Because I was like, I'm not going to look like them in the costume. I'm going to look so bad. I'm going to look so fat. You're going to see me on stage just dancing around, looking so large. Like, I was so upset when we got that costume. And I will never forget that, because it was just like a really bad moment,
Yeah.
I guess. Because like, I don't know, it sucked. But
Yeah. Did
yeah.
you ever have like a conversation about that with anybody, or did you just kind of like keep it to yourself?
Nope, that one I kept to myself just because.
You just kind of dealt with it.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
hard because I liked the costume. I didn't like it on me,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to wear it. So I wanted to like it on me. It was
Mhm.
just hard because how can you like something on you that you don't? Like, you can't just like change your mindset about that. Like,
Yeah.
you don't feel good in it. You don't feel good in it.
Yeah.
And
It's so sad that at such a young age you're thinking those things, because
yeah.
although body image issues is a huge problem in the world for people, as a dancer growing up, you're so aware of your body at such a young age. Like,
Mhm.
personally for me, I don't really remember a time in my life where I wasn't aware
That's the
of
thing.
what my
and it
body looks like.
sucks.
Like, ever. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a taught feeling. I don't feel like it was ever taught to me, or it was something that I was just always had or something, comparing myself to other people. But I think that's the perfect moment where I will look back on old videos of me and I'll remember what I thought of myself at that point of my life. I thought I was the biggest person in the world and the largest person. Like,
Yeah.
I hated myself. And I'll look back at pictures and I'm like, you're so tiny.
That's the thing. I'm like,
You're a
wait, I wish I
child.
had that body
No,
now. Like,
no.
I'm like,
Yeah, but you're a child. That's
I know.
the thing, is like, and also we'll never, like, we're women now. Like,
we are women.
I also think like, because kids get into dance young typically, but even if it's like a little bit later in your life, the concept of dance is like looking in a mirror, watching yourself move, and the teacher will come over to you and touch certain parts of your body and say like, fix this or suck in. That's like a really big one. They always say like, suck in your tummy or whatever. And like, if you hear that as a kid, that could be part of the reason why that like conditions you to start thinking about it
Oh,
when
yeah.
you
the
did it
worst
before.
thing is when they tell you to suck in when you already are.
Oh,
That's the worst.
my gosh, that's like so
Yep.
like they don't even realize, but it's probably like
I know.
in your head like,
and I'm
okay,
like,
well, I am.
I'm like, I can't. I
It's
can't
just
suck in anymore.
different terms you need to dance teachers, and if anyone's an aspiring young dance teacher, there are terms to use in the studio that are a little old fashioned. Like I said, I feel like it's not even the dance teacher's fault a lot of the time. I feel like it is a
they grew
taught
up in that.
and passed down thing. So I don't think there's, at least personally for me, I'm not one to put a lot of blame on people, because a lot of people don't have knowledge or education on certain things, or self-experience, or just self-realization, because they
Yeah.
probably thought those same things as you as a kid.
Mhm.
But I feel like there's certain things like, I can see your lunch that should not be said in a
Or
classroom.
The typical holiday one. Watch what
Yeah.
you eat over the holidays. Like,
Yeah,
don't
Thanksgiving,
go.
don't
Thanksgiving,
like-
don't feast. You know.
Yeah.
I never got that.
You
It's
want to
like,
make sure you fit into your recital costume.
Well, you've made a couple TikToks about the
Yeah.
holiday.
the Thanksgiving theme, because
Yeah.
like you always measure for recital before the holidays, and they're like, well, you want to fit
Ugh,
into your costume.
That's another thing. Getting measured, I hated that. And I'd always be like sucking in, because I'm
in,
like,
yeah.
this is so embarrassing. And then sometimes like seeing the numbers is the worst. Like, even for my dance company now, like, because I'm the president, I don't take the measurements, but I still have access to it. And if I accidentally click on it, like, I see my measurements and I'm like, I don't want to see it. Like, I'd rather not, because there's no reason that like a number should make me upset
Yeah.
because a number doesn't define how I look or feel.
Not at all.
Yes.
Which
100%.
Numbers are just numbers.
yeah.
And everybody distributes things differently. And like the number has nothing to do with anything. Like it's literally
Yeah.
just a number.
And if we're talking about numbers, there's there's like backstory to this, which we may or may not get into, but I've gotten to a point now where anytime I go to the doctor, I do a blind weigh-in because I'm like, I don't
You
need
can
to
do
know. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you can
you turn
opt
around.
out of it or
Oh,
like tell them
interesting.
I don't want to know you, like please, because sometimes
It's
I
great.
won't look.
Because I don't want to know.
Yeah,
They just tell you to
sometimes
turn
I won't
around.
look, and the nurse will say it out loud, and I'm like, oh.
Well, that's why, like, every single time I go, I'm like, I just want to let you know, like, I want to do a blind weigh-in. Like, please don't tell me because all it's going to do is make me upset.
Yeah.
That's it. Even if it's a number that's, like, better than before, I don't want to
It's
know.
not even about making you upset. It's about creating thoughts in your mind
Exactly.
that shouldn't really be addressed.
Yeah, and it took me a long time to get to the point where, like, I didn't want to know because for a long time I wanted to know and I'd weigh myself every day. Like, there was a point where I was weighing myself every day, and that was not healthy because weight fluctuates,
Yeah.
obviously.
Did you know that your weight can fluctuate up to like 8 pounds scale when you're on your period?
I'm
That
not
makes sense.
surprised.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So literally depending on where you are in your cycle or your ovulation can determine how much weight
Yeah.
you weigh.
Wow.
Weight is such a random thing. Like it means
Yeah.
absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I weigh. I haven't weighed myself in a year and a half.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have no
And
idea.
I don't think I ever want to know again just
Yeah.
because I don't know.
There's no
I don't
need.
want to
Not
know.
necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
for
worth
sure.
it. But going back to what you said earlier about having boobs, I was I was the same way. Where like growing up, like I developed much quicker than the rest of my other like teammates, and something always said to me would be like, you have to tape them down, you have to double bra because we can see them bouncing on stage, and like there's nothing like okay, this is funny. There was one time where like the first time I was told to tape them, I did. I took duct tape and I just like taped right across.
Ow.
Yeah. Because I didn't know any better.
I know. But,
And, like, actually, it's funny because I have a picture of it in the costume that I already felt uncomfortable in the two-piece costume.
you have like the best pictures of like iconic moments that happen. Like,
I know. And it's like you just see the like slice right across in the picture. It's so funny. And then like, yeah, it just, I've always had boobs. That's always been a struggle
Yeah.
too. Especially when you're doing like floor work, rolling on your stomach. Like I hate it because I'm like, they're in the way. Like,
Also, like
but, you know,
a lot of dance costumes, a lot of dance clothes, a lot of clothes just in general are made for people with smaller boobs.
yeah.
So I never fit correctly. I was always the only person with my straps showing, even if they were clear in the
Well,
costume.
that's the thing. Like so many costumes, especially when you would do like production dances and have a costume in unison and they were all the same. They're made for like younger children who haven't developed yet. So when someone who's fully developed wears that costume, it's not the best look. Like it's not flattering and it doesn't
No.
feel flattering.
Yeah, and that's the thing about dance is like I'm still on a journey to this day
Yeah,
to
me
find
too.
a bra. Well, to find a bra
Oh.
that's supportive. And
We're on a journey.
they should have better dance brands for that.
Well, can I
too.
say I absolutely despise the dance bras, the ones with the clear straps.
I've
They
never
are
even
so
used one.
uncomfortable. They
I
always
use, you know
the
what
straps
I
always
use
come off.
to keep my boobs in place for dance things? KT tape.
Really?
The clear nude
Yeah, I've heard
version.
about that.
I'll tape my boobs with KT tape.
I've kind of just given up and done band-aids.
Well,
We've all done that too. Yeah.
well, the worst is if you're in a dance where there's like a lot of jumping going on.
Yeah.
It is painful to
Especially
not be
hip-hop.
having any support.
Hip hop, you need a bra.
Oh yeah.
It's
If someone has
yeah.
some good bra recommendations, I think that's my
please let us know
I
because
think
we
that's
are
my
still
new
hunting.
goal for the next few months is to find a good supportive bra that is cute.
Yeah.
That's one thing. It
Yeah.
has to be cute. Finding dance clothes that are flattering and that you feel comfortable in, of course, in the realm of your dress code, is so important because you want to look good. You want to look at yourself and be happy with what you see, and 80% of that is what I'm wearing, at least personally for me. And I cannot stand, I don't know if you guys can relate, if I'm wearing something and I don't think I look good in it, my day is ruined.
Me
I'm like
too.
done. I'm literally done. That's why I always, if you see me, my bag is filled. You would think I'd be at the studio. I was sleeping there for the next week. I always bring so many extra pairs of clothes, but it's like, okay, if that's personally what I need to do to make sure that I'm feeling my best in a dance class and
That's
getting
smart.
the most out of my dance class, then that's what I'm going to do.
I
Yeah.
always say like dress to impress, but dress to impress yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think for most people, you feel better when you think you look good and when you feel confident in what
Yep.
you're wearing. That goes for dance or not. Like that's just a rule of thumb.
You know what I don't feel confident in anymore? Leggings.
Really?
Yeah, I just
I
like
feel that.
when I'm dancing, I just feel like because when you wear leggings, like no, it's not even that. It's like since you wear them so often while dancing and working out and stuff, they lose their like elasticness and like
And they
it
fall
just
down.
starts falling and like pulling up my pants during dances I absolutely hate doing, and it's just like distracting me from the main goal of the dance, you know? And I don't know, I started wearing joggers now. Those are my like
I
go-to dance pants
don't
and
like-
biker shorts. I love biker shorts.
I don't like leggings because they feel restrictive. Like I can't get my leg up as high. Like I have these one pair of Lululemon leggings, the only ones that I own by them. And they're so
I don't
restrictive.
know anything from them.
They're like so tight and I feel like it restricts my flow. Like I literally can't I much
leggings
prefer
are
like
weird.
they're just like I don't know, I haven't found the right pair yet, but something about them just feels like it's holding me back in my dancing and I can't get down with that.
I haven't found the
literally.
right pair either because I'll find a pair and it's good for a bit. And then,
then-
once, like, after a month of wearing it, I'm like, okay, I need a new pair now because these are worn out.
I love
Well,
yoga pants.
I will say that.
Yeah.
I will say that my favorite brand for leggings is not Lulu and it's Aloe.
I've
I
never
think
had
they
anything
have-
from Aloe.
I don't know.
I'm
it.
like I love Aloe. I'm obsessed, but I think they have the best pair. But I will say the only thing I never wear leggings class, but I like wearing them for jazz class, especially if you're doing like heels, like where you're wearing your like Laducas.
Yeah, that's fair. They make your
Styles
legs
like
look long.
that. But yeah, definitely. Also find that my clothes for dance class fit better when I'm sweating. I will show up to dance class and I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I necessarily feel good in this outfit. And then 15 minutes in, I'm sweating. I don't know, my clothes fit better.
Interesting.
Is that not a
Well, they
you
probably
thing?
just
that makes
settle.
sense.
They settle.
probably settle.
No, but
and-
they also fit better. Like there's something about like they stick to the right places. They stick where they need to stick.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're probably not thinking about it as much because you started the class. and
Yes,
you're
that's
like,
another thing.
I'm already here. I'm wearing these clothes. I gotta dance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I'm okay, do you ever go to a dance class? I mentioned this the other day to my friend, but do you ever walk into a class with like, you know, like your weekly dance class or whatever, and everyone is standing in front of the mirror like this?
Yeah, I just made a TikTok about that.
Fixing
How,
their
like,
hair.
I did
that
too.
happens during
Everyone-
class. Yeah,
Like the music's playing, the teacher's at the stereo getting ready for class, and everyone is looking at themselves in the mirror like fixing themselves.
Yeah.
and it's
just
funny
so
because
true.
the
Dance
same
is a
thing
vain sport.
happens. Yeah, the same thing happens right when you finish a dance. The first thing you do, pull up your pants. Second thing you do, fix your hair and tighten it. Like
A teacher,
it's just so funny.
a teacher says, "Okay, we're gonna go across the floor." Everyone walks across the floor, watching themselves.
Yep.
Like adjusting their pants or adjusting their shirt.
The mirror is a
I'm
blessing and a
telling you,
curse.
Watch it, but it's also funny to like think about it because it is like dance. You have to be selfish. Dance. You have to be vain. You're
Mhm.
staring, as I said, and I will repeat saying, you're staring at yourself all day
Yeah.
long. But like that's why sometimes it's better to get a little vain with it because if you let yourself get to that dark place of I hate everything, I don't like this about me, I don't like this about me, you're gonna fall into a hole. So sometimes you just have to be like, oh my gosh, I look so good.
Speaking of dark
Yeah.
place, should we
Oh.
get into it?
Just transitioning.
Just like a segue.
Okay, so you can
It's a
start.
dark place.
Yeah.
Anyways, so for me, just growing up in the dance world, like I said, like that's been rough just body image wise because you're so aware of how you look, how you feel, how you look in certain costumes, etc. And I feel like I hit like my rock bottom with body image when I stopped dancing because of COVID. And it was weird because I would have expected that the least.
Yeah.
Just because, like, well, you're not dancing every day. You don't have to put yourself in the leotard. You don't have to do all these things. But then just, I think I felt so much worse not dancing because aside from all of, I wouldn't say the pain, but all of like the self-consciousness that dance gave me, it also gave me a sense of happiness and
Yeah.
freedom and a way to express myself. And once I lost that, all I had was to focus on the self-consciousness and how I felt and how I didn't like how I looked. And then because of COVID and because dance stopped pretty much for like a good year and a half, like I really was out of dance for a year and a half. I wasn't working out or like, well, I did go to the gym a lot because I felt like I needed to, but I wasn't dancing. And like dance became such part of my routine, and it was an everyday thing where like because I stopped doing that, I started to change, like my body started to change, which is okay.
Yeah.
And I think I just started to feel really lazy, and I didn't like how I looked because I thought that I was just sitting down all the time and just eating, because what else were you supposed to do? Like going on one walk a day, it's good, but my body was used to walking around all day, going to class, standing up. Like I took away my routine, and I think that's where I started to lose like my sense of self a little bit.
That affects you mentally too.
It really did.
Because dance is a different release than going on a walk or going to the gym. That's why we do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so this is where the trigger warning in the beginning especially comes to play, at least for my story, is because I started to develop an eating disorder, and it started to get really out of hand because I didn't have anything else to do except fixate on that, which it got, I just got to a really bad like mental place because that's all I was thinking about, and all I thought about was like what I was going to eat and then how I was going to burn it off. And I lived in a building at the time because I lived at school during not like COVID quarantine in 2020, but like my sophomore year.
Hybrid.
Yeah, like when we came back, we were all virtual. I wasn't even hybrid, but I was living at school. And it was rough because I was in a room with one other roommate, and then we had two other roommates like sharing the apartment. So we were in very close quarters, and I felt very confined, and there wasn't much to do except fixate. So like the building I lived in had a gym. I'd go there like twice a day because I felt like I had to. I felt like I had to get out. I needed to move. I would go on like 5-mile walks just because I felt like I needed to, and I wasn't doing it for like
every day.
I tried, like 3 to 5 mile walks. It depended. And like even I remember I got like my COVID booster, and you're supposed to rest. I went on my 3-mile walk and then went home and threw up because I was so dizzy, because like you're not supposed to go on like a 3-5 mile walk right when you get the vaccine. So that was a bad idea. But it was just the cycle of like, this is what you like have to eat, and then this is what you have to do to burn it off.
You make your own rules for yourself that are so unrealistic.
It was,
and you
so
put
bad.
restrictions on yourself that, like, you don't need to be doing.
Exactly. And I started using like, there's a whole bunch of calorie counting apps, and like I did 2 at the same time, which is bad because like one was a point system and one was calories, and they're not meant to go together. Like it's one or the other because there's different rules, but I did them at the same time, which canceled out a lot of things that you can eat. So like it was just not great. And I remember like just being around, like I said, like I was in very close quarters with my roommates, being around their food and like seeing them eat so freely and not have to think about it was really hard for me to watch as well, because I didn't even want to be near it. Yeah. Like I stayed in my room a lot, or went out and went to the gym or walked, because I didn't want to be in the kitchen. And I started meeting with like a nutritionist and like a therapist just because I needed to like talk about it. But it was very bad for a while.
Yeah, and wasn't it also like your roommates also started noticing and like?
Yeah, well actually that's the thing.
It's very like
I didn't
amazing,
notice it, and so I obviously had an eating disorder and I didn't realize for a while. And I kind of just was like, well, this is who I am now. Like I'm just being on top of myself, I guess. Like that's kind of just what I thought it was. And so many of my friends, because there's 4 of us in the room, and then our other 4 friends live right next door. So it was 8 of us all the time. And they saw me every day, and they saw this bad habit and like this pattern I was creating. And like, I remember, I don't remember which one of them I was talking to, but I was talking to them, and someone said something like, yeah, well, like we are worried because like you do have an eating disorder. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? And they were like, yeah, like, well, we've noticed it. And I was like, no, I can't have an eating disorder because I'm not skinny. Like that was like exactly what I thought. And I was like, there's no way that I can have that, because in my head, you had to be like super skinny to have an eating disorder. And I didn't look like that. Therefore, I didn't have one. And like that comment really stuck with me because I didn't understand it until I did, and I realized.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like somewhat of a turning point, but not entirely, because it was until I processed it and decided that like I have to try to change something about it. But it was hard because how do you change the cycle that you've created for yourself when you're not ready to break it? You know? And I think what helped me get out of it was when things started going in person again. Like once my life started to continue and I had other schedules and other patterns to follow, I kind of broke out of that one. So I was fortunate that I was only stuck for X amount of time.
And
until
you're very lucky to have people in your life that like
absolutely.
cared
I will
about
thank
you
them
and
every
stuff.
day for that because
Yeah.
We're
I
vocal
didn't
about it.
realize.
Yeah.
And if they didn't say anything, I wouldn't have known.
Right.
And
it's also
yeah.
nice that your roommates aren't dancers. So
yeah.
and don't also deal with eating disorders.
Yeah.
From my understanding
Yeah.
of it.
It's just funny because it's like you would have thought that would happen to me during dance, but it was when I lost dance. When
But
it
that
got
makes
worse.
that's
sense
very
too,
understandable.
though.
Yeah.
Because it's a big shift.
Well,
I was just confused why it didn't happen during dance and why I didn't resort to that like while I was dancing, like even during high school, just like the vigorous schedule of dance. But it's really nice now because I never thought that I would be able to look at food again and not see good or bad or not see numbers. And I can do that now.
Well, that's amazing.
And it's
Yeah,
like
wow.
genuinely like it makes me so happy because I never thought I would break out of that. And a Snapchat memory came up the other day and it was like me crying in the bathroom and it was like I don't even know who I sent it to or
I saw it.
yeah, like
You
maybe I like no, it wasn't like I
But
don't
you,
know
like,
why I initially
reposted
took
it.
it. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but I said something like, is this ever gonna end or like am I ever gonna like not have to deal with this anymore? And seeing that, like 2023 Lexi seeing that and being like, it's gonna end, it's gonna be okay, you're going to get better and you're not gonna be in this place anymore is just I think one of my proudest accomplishments, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
it was something that I never thought I'd escape. And I did.
So
So
proud.
wow, thank you
Yeah.
so much,
Yeah.
Lexi, for sharing
Yeah.
that. Stories like that are really like even hearing it, and I've already heard like this story before, but even hearing it,
I haven't heard it like that.
it like hurts my heart.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really interesting to think about because
yeah.
you look at someone that you like, of course we're friends. So like you look at
Aw.
someone that you like really care about and the first thing you think is like, why would you do that? Like, why would you think that about yourself? Like, why would you have these like negative thoughts about yourself when it's like, really, you are your biggest like critic.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. So I'm glad that you're out of it. And
Me too.
Me too.
I think if this story teaches you guys anything, it's go get help, because I think that because you leaned on the support of your friends and your family and was really open about it is the reason why you are in such a good place now.
Yeah.
And
your work too.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what you put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, your work as well.
It's team effort.
It truly is. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So my experience is a little bit different. I feel like I see this a lot with other people too, but going into college, I feel like I went from a world where I was kind of one of the only dancers in my studio growing up that was actually somewhat serious about dance. It was like me and maybe two other people. Everyone else was doing it sort of recreationally. So when I went to college, it was kind of the first time that I met people that was as serious as dance as I was. And in an environment like that, it was also the first time I had been surrounded by people with eating disorders and other people in my life and my friends and different things like that. We were all around it. And there's I don't even know how many, but there's like hundreds of different EDs in the world. So of course everyone has different EDs, and there are a lot of people when they're in it, they deflect and they talk about it and they have like a very unhealthy mindset. So at least for me, like being in a group environment with other people that have maybe different EDs than I do, or even if it is the same, you're kind of around it, so you witness it, which is weird because you said you were around people that had such a healthy eating habit, whereas I was around people that didn't. So I feel like I started to like take
Maybe
advice.
if we swapped.
Yeah, well, I started to learn how to like these bad habits from what I saw. And I kind of like was taught it and I learned it a little bit, which that's why I am so like serious about never really getting into like extreme detail about certain eating habits and unhealthy eating habits, because it is kind of a learned thing. Like that is kind of a hard topic to talk about. But yeah, for me, it was just really hard to be around other people with eating disorders. And it is just, it's a weird.
It reflected onto you.
Yeah, it reflected onto me, but then it also sort of turned into like a competition of who ate the least amount, or
That's
like
so terrible.
Who, I don't know. And I'm not saying this about anyone around me or anyone like that. It was maybe all in my head, but that's what I was thinking and that's how I saw things. Right. So it was just not very healthy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now, which is why I also very much stress surrounding yourself with people that aren't dancers, because being in an environment with only dancers, you can very much surround yourself with this unhealthy mindset in more ways than just EDs and body image. So even like now I have this, at the time I didn't have a boyfriend, but now I have a boyfriend and we've been dating for a few years, and watching him have like such a normal relationship with food. If you don't know, my boyfriend is a musician, and so he does nothing athletic at all, so which I kind of love. And he never danced. Like, he has no concept of like EDs or anything, because he's just a guy, and he just eats pasta when he wants to eat pasta. Like, that's just it. So it was so healthy for me to kind of like view that from such an outsider's point, where if he was hungry, he would eat.
Right.
And if he wanted something, he would get it. And it's just so refreshing to surround yourself with things like that. And it's nice to know that like there are, because when you're so stuck in the bubble of being around so many dancers, I just always assumed or always had this idea in my mind that, oh my God, my voice cracked. I always had this idea in my mind that everyone, like in my head, I was like, oh, everyone has an eating disorder. Everyone has body dysmorphia and everyone has body image issues. But like people don't.
Wait,
but
that's funny because I thought the opposite.
What?
Like, I literally, in my head, I was like, I'm alone. Nobody else is going through what I'm going through. Like, nobody can understand.
Yeah, in a way
then,
that too.
Like,
I also
there's
felt
like
that.
both. But there's both.
Within the ED world, I felt like I was alone in my relationship with food. But I also felt that everyone I surrounded myself with also had an eating disorder, which probably was the furthest from the truth. But when I was in it, I was like, oh, so this is just normal, like whatever. And then I would watch other people with normal eating habits, and I was like, that's weird. Like, I've never experienced that before. But
like, are they eating all of that? Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, sorry, that was funny. Just the way you're gonna eat all of that, like that just reminds me of like life. Anyways,
no, because that was like the voice in my head. Like that was like what I'd say to myself. Like, you're gonna eat all of that? Like maybe don't. Like maybe just don't.
Yeah, which is not okay.
You want to know what's funny though?
I'm like sweating talking about this episode. Like, guys,
I know.
I really hope you're appreciating this because this is making me so nervous. Like, I don't like talking about this. Like, okay.
I know it's weird. Like, trusting people with this information because it's a big part of like who you are. But I was gonna say a funny story, and my roommates always laugh at me, but like, so when I was going through my eating disorder, I like would look up like healthy recipes and stuff. Like, I would try to eat things that, like, for example, like I needed something sweet, so then I could feel like I had my dessert, and I would make this like nasty like brownie banana mush brownie thing, and like they would always laugh at me because I'm like, it's a brownie, and they're like, that's not a brownie. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's not a brownie.
Yeah.
Like, it was so gross.
Yeah.
And
But it's like, eat the brownie because eventually.
Don't restrict yourself
Yeah.
from the things that you want.
I did show you guys a picture
Just
of like
eat the
how
brownie.
nasty this banana brownie mush, because it was like cocoa powder and bananas and like
No.
that was it. And they were like, that's not a brownie. And I'm like, but it's so delicious. And they're like, I could see on your face it's not. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Like,
Because
Yeah.
the minute
gross.
you say, I can't eat this brownie, it's so bad for me, you're never going to not stop wanting to eat the brownie. So you eat this brownie mush, and then a week later, you're still wanting a brownie. And then you're going to eat more brownie mush, and it's just a cycle. And then eventually you'll probably eat the brownie.
Or then
it's
you
like,
might
just eat
binge
the
on
brownie.
junk food because
Exactly.
you didn't allow yourself a cookie.
Well,
exactly.
that's
then
what
just
happened
eat
to me.
the brownie.
Can I
and then
just
you wouldn't
say-
be like binging.
Right.
Like one of my, I guess you could call it a mantra with food, is just like everything in moderation. That's kind of how I go about it. Like if I want pasta, I'm going to have pasta. If I want a salad, I'm going to have a salad. If I want to get popcorn and candy, I'm going to do it. And one meal like that is not going to change your body.
Right.
That's not how it works. Like the biggest tip is that if you like, don't restrict yourself, because if you do, that's when the issues of like binging can come up, and then feeling like you have such a like deficit of sugar or something that's just a little bit more like an indulgence. Like you have to allow yourself to be a human, and I know it's a process for everybody, but
Yeah.
like allow yourself those moments to have cake or have something super healthy. Like it's all about balance. It's all about moderation, because that's what's
Exactly.
going to keep your mind and your body together.
Yeah.
And,
And
like,
then you'll
in one piece.
Also start craving like healthier foods. I don't want to say like less calories or whatever, but
Well,
like
once you allow yourself to eat in a way that's like you said, everything in moderation, and like allow yourself to have it, you won't want it as much.
yeah, because then it doesn't turn into like the forbidden fruit.
Because
Yeah.
that's exactly like, I don't know if that happened to you, but that happened to me where like, I think it's because my roommates would be home all the time that I was like, well, like they're aware that I'm eating very particularly, so I don't want to just like randomly eat a brownie because they're probably going to be confused.
Mhm.
So if they would ever all leave the apartment, that's when the binging occurred,
Mhm.
which is weird because I'm like, oh, I'm alone. So like I think being left alone was the issue. But then once I got through it and like allowed myself to have it when they were there, then I didn't need it when they were gone.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, because it's not hiding in secrecy. It's
Exactly.
out in the open. You don't
Exactly.
feel like you're keeping something from
Yeah.
somebody. Yeah. And I kind of do just want to touch on my experience, because
yes, please.
Yes, please.
well, first of all, I do want to say that I'm proud of both of you for overcoming those issues, and you're both beautiful.
It's a daily journey.
Yes, but like you've come very far already, so that takes a lot. So I just wanted to say I'm proud of you for that.
Thanks.
yeah.
It's so weird being
I'm like,
serious.
please stop being proud of me.
I know. I'm like,
no,
wait, like,
just
but-
call me ugly and like let's move on. Okay?
I'm like, we had our
No.
vulnerable moment.
moment. Like, are we gonna hug after this episode
No, I know.
too?
I'm like, don't
what?
don't give us praise, because me and Becca, like, we're sitting here, we're like, we can't take this right now.
Yeah.
Because you're being all serious. Like,
I'm not
oh,
even looking
congrats,
at
and I'm
her.
like,
No, but
like, no.
I know, but it's just true. But I'll get past that point, so you're not cringing anymore.
Yeah, thank you.
Go
Go ahead. Bianca.
I personally have never dealt with those issues.
Woohoo!
I had never dealt with an eating disorder or any sort of body dysmorphia, and
But it's proof that it can
Right.
happen.
But that's what I want
Which
to
is
say.
beautiful.
What I want to say is that an eating disorder doesn't have a look. You don't have to be super skinny to have one, and you don't have to be at the opposite end of the spectrum to have one. Anyone, anywhere can develop disordered eating. And that's something that people in society and in the media don't talk about.
Yeah.
Which is something that I want to talk about, is that I know that I'm skinny, okay? I know that my arms are very thin, and if you've seen any of my videos, maybe you've noticed it too. People are built differently, and everybody distributes their weight differently, and just because you see someone that's really thin doesn't mean that you get to assume things about them.
Right.
I get a lot of hateful, negative, bullying comments on my social media daily of people saying like, okay, this is also kind of a trigger warning, I guess, because it's kind of terribly said, but somebody was like, she's going to be dead in a year. Please eat. Like they said that. They're like,
I
I'm
didn't
so
know about
sad
that
because
one.
she's going to be dead in a year. And it's like, why would you ever say that to somebody? Because let's say that I did have a problem and I saw that comment.
Right.
You're not helping anybody by
Exactly.
doing that. That's literally just perpetuating the issue. And then they come back and they say, well, actually, I was just concerned. No, you weren't. So please don't. Anybody on the internet, if you see somebody, a dancer specifically, and you feel like you need to make a comment about their body in that way, just don't do it. 1, because you're not their physician. 2, because you don't know if it's true or not. You don't know them. And 3, because it's literally bullying. So nobody needs to hear those comments. Like, just drop that kind of rhetoric because it's not necessary. Other than that,
Commenting on anyone's body at all is completely
it's
inappropriate.
unwarranted. I don't
just not
care
okay.
if you're concerned. You're not going to fix it. You don't know me.
If during the period of my eating disorder I received any comment regarding it, I feel like that would have like just been
Okay, exactly.
the end of the world. Like I would have, because I'll get comments on my body, not as regularly as you do, because I know that you get a lot, but I get some every now and then where it's like, oh, like it's nice seeing a large dancer like
But
you.
that's
And
also
I'm like,
rude.
wait, what? Like I'm just doing a POV skit.
It's
like
only-
it's so like what?
It's just rude because, not because of anyone's body type, but just because who asked you to say that? Like, they're like, oh, well, you know, if you're a bigger person, then people bully them. But it also happens on the opposite end of the
Right.
spectrum. Anyone's body is not up for you to determine what's going on in their life. Like, you don't know them. You actually don't know them. So keep your comments to yourself on that front, because like Lexi said, if that comment was made to her during a sensitive time, that's not good. And while I am skinny, I talk about it a lot that I have healthy eating habits, but people still don't believe me. And I think that that's really messed up. But what I would like to say is, regardless of anybody's body type, people can be healthy, people cannot be healthy, but it's not up to you to determine it or to insinuate that there's an issue present, because once again, you're not their doctor. So just leave it at that. And also, like, I just feel very fortunate that I didn't have that issue growing up. I wasn't around that kind of environment even, but you might not believe me because I was big on the ballet thing. But for some reason, like, I was not exposed to that kind of thing at a young age.
Thank God.
Well, I feel very blessed for that, because I know so many people that didn't have that opportunity, I guess you could say, like, blessing to not have to go through that. But the comments that are made about me are what, like, make me more insecure. Like, I've never had any sort of issue, and I've never had any sort of insecurity about my body until I hear comments like, your arms look like a toothpick, or whatever they say. It's like, those are the bullying kind of tactics and comments that start, like, making you think like, oh, like, maybe I am too skinny, whatever, but you might have never thought about it before. And that's why I'm so serious, and I stress the fact that strangers are not entitled to make comments about people's bodies in that way, whether you look like this or whether you look like this. It's just not warranted. And if you're not...
Sorry, it was just funny. I know you were just
pointed
pointing at us, but it was... it
Oh,
felt
no, I
targeted.
didn't mean it like that.
No,
I was just
it's
saying, like...
look like Becca, or you
No.
look
If you look like Becca, what?
No, I wasn't referencing you
That's
guys.
okay.
I just meant, like, if
I
you
love
look like
myself.
I love
thing
myself
one
too.
or thing two, whatever it is, like, it's just not something that's healthy on any front. And I know a lot of those people are just bullies, but, you know, it's important. It needs to be said,
Can I ask you a
because,
question?
yeah.
Has any of those comments made you like spiral or sent you into a place where you started to get like super insecure, or
No, it's only a momentary thing where,
Okay.
like, if there's a comment, I'll think about it for a second and be like, that was so rude. And I don't know why anybody would say that, but now I'm second guessing myself in the moment. But I am a very strong person, and I have to keep my head leveled to the point where, like, you can't let those comments get to you in
Well,
that way.
you
Right.
know what it is too?
It's like, psh, just forget about it.
Bianca, you're lucky at that age. You're at the age where you're very you know who you are, and you're very set in who you are,
Mhm.
and you're very proud of what you are, and you love
Yeah.
yourself, and you're set in your ways. It's when those comments are started at a younger age,
Mhm.
where you don't maybe necessarily have
That
like,
sense of self.
a sense of self,
And,
is when it creates problems in the future that can last for years.
and also on that front too, while these comments are made to me every day, and me being a strong person, that's one thing. But these people that comment these things are doing it to other people that aren't
Right.
as strong. And that's where the problem is. They're lucky they're dealing with me, because I can handle it in a sense. Not that I want those comments, but I'm not going to have any issues because of it. But certain people that actually do have a problem present, if they receive those comments, that is so bad and that's so toxic and it could really hurt somebody. So you have to actually think of it as, yeah, this is the internet, but people are humans on the other side, just like you. We're not some robot that is like a two-dimensional make-believe, like figment of your imagination. They're real people. So when people see these comments, yeah, they take it to heart and it might trigger some certain people. So you have to be so mindful of that. Just don't do it. Period.
I couldn't imagine, like, I mean, I know social media has been a thing and we did grow up kind of with it, like the middle school, high school age, but I could not imagine growing up with TikTok in like a middle school age, just because, let's say, like, I don't know, we all clearly like posting, and I would assume that our young selves would probably be posting too. Maybe it'd be like different content, who knows, but regardless, I think we'd all be posting or
have a TikTok account.
And if I received comments like that at that age, I don't think I'd handle it as well as I would handle it now.
Of course, because you're young and you're naive.
Like, that's not something that young children should be dealing with when they're
Or
already dealing with the struggle of them thinking those things about themselves. So having other people say it to them too, you don't need that. It's not necessary.
Right.
Like, it's unfair that people do that.
Yeah.
Like, they don't think.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, I think that's probably why we are being so open today, talking about our experience, because I know growing up, I wish I would have had someone to look up to or someone to look at and
their experiences
and relate to, because there was a time where I felt very alone in what I experienced. So this is why I'm sure you both agree, like, speaking out about this and talking about it, at least for me, like, I'm so passionate about it. As you guys know, I make so much content about like body dysmorphia and body image issues on my TikTok, not because I'm like trying to, like, I don't even know what I would be doing, brag, I don't know, but because
well, it's just spreading awareness too.
Yeah, I'm just spreading awareness because I wish that I had that as a younger kid. So
it's always good to have some sort of support system and not directly affiliated with you, something that's more distant, like a social media presence where you can just kind of hear their advice, but you don't have to have a conversation about it. Just listening to the different perspectives. And we all have different stories and very different experiences. And it goes to show that there's no certain anything that defines anything. Everybody is their own person. They all have their own unique individual experiences with things like this in the dance world. And I think that goes to show, like, you can't judge a book by its cover at the end of the day. But we probably have more to talk about with this topic.
This is a very large
could go into
subject that can cover a lot of things.
It could go in many different avenues. So if any of you found this helpful or you would like to hear more about it, let us know, and maybe we can make a part 2 or do like a Q&A live at some point. But I think that this can just inform and help a lot of dancers and individuals. So
as a send-off, after this episode, go have a nutritious breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
We're going to go
and a piece of cake.
And a piece of cake. If you want a cake, if you don't want cake, don't have the cake. And just
go have
love
you
your
want.
body, because I think that no matter who you are, these topics can be really heavy. So just do a little self-check-in.
Yes. So thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in and watching this episode of Bar Chat. And we will see you in 2 weeks for the next episode and sending love. Bye, guys.
Bye.